Yo, my name is Fracno, and today I'm going to show you the differences between the new SecretLab Titan EVO 2022 regular and the previous 2020 Titan model. The size of this chair, according to their website, is in between the previous Omega model, which was the smaller chair, and the regular Titan. And I was kind of surprised to hear that because the two chairs do seem pretty similar in size. Now, the new model is meant for people who are 5'7" to 6'2" and less than 220 pounds, but I wouldn't take those numbers as set in stone rules. In my experience, a variety of shapes and sizes are suitable for these chairs, but if you would like to see what different people sitting in the SecretLab chairs looks like, I have a video showing just that, except it is using their previous line of chairs. I would, however, agree with the recommendation to choose the larger size if you're unsure because you're in between two different chair sizes, because you can always supplement a chair with a footrest if it's too tall for you, but if the base of the chair is too small, then there's not much you can do. The chairs start at $499 in the US and can go up depending on your selection of fabric or design. These are not cheap, and SecretLab recently announced an increase in price by about 10% worldwide due to price increases for shipping and materials. This is a bummer as their chairs were already higher than your average gaming chair, but this is just the world that we're living in at the moment, with manufacturers continuing to struggle with everything that's been going on for the last 2 years. Despite that high price tag, I do believe that their chairs are worth it because of their quality and their features. And if you watch this video and you agree with that and you decide to buy one, then make sure to use the link below to help support the channel. The chair that I have here is their new hybrid leatherette, and this still is a PU leather, but according to their website, it's designed differently to be more durable than regular PU leather by adjusting the layers or something to do with moisture. I don't know, it sounds good, but I have not had the chair long enough to confirm whether or not this new PU leather lasts longer than the previous. I can confirm though that it is very soft and comfortable, and it feels different than their previous PU leather, and it even looks different. My 2020 model of the Titan is still the soft weave fabric, so obviously that's not a proper comparison, but the 2020 Omega that I have is the PU leather, so that's what I use to compare the two. I prefer the new hybrid leatherette in like every way. Personally, I still prefer the soft weave, and it looks like they have a new soft weave version called Soft Weave Plus, so I'm looking forward to trying that. If you're not sure which one that you should pick between the PU leather and the soft weave, then I'm gonna give you some things to consider. If you live somewhere hot, or you don't have AC, or if you're just someone who is naturally warm all of the time, the soft weave is going to breathe much better. If you like to sit in your chair shirtless, then you should know that the oils in your skin are typically no good for hybrid leatherette. If you're clumsy and find yourself spilling things all the time, then you may prefer the leatherette because it can be wiped as opposed to just soaking into that soft weave fabric. Speaking of, cleanup is different between the two. With the soft weave, you're gonna need to vacuum it versus a rag and spray cleaner for the leatherette. If flashy designs are your thing, then you're gonna have a lot more options with the leatherette. Really, it's gonna depend on your circumstance and your personal preferences when choosing, but I'd say that they're both pretty nice. When it comes to features, the new 2022 model has some very cool additions and improvements that expand on what I already thought was a pretty awesome chair. The best feature of the Titan, in my opinion, was the internal lumbar support. I personally hate the pillow system that you usually see with gaming chairs, so internal adjustable lumbar support was an amazing improvement over that. Now, they've pushed it even further with this new model by allowing you to not only adjust the amount of support, but also the height of that support. They added a second adjustment knob to move the internal lumbar support up and down. This is going to allow you to really dial it in for your back shape and your size, and in my opinion, that's something that makes these chairs a very viable ergonomic choice. And even though that this isn't a review or comparison of the Omega, I just want to point out that this adjustable lumbar support is now available in all three of their sizes, whereas before, the Omega chair, which was the smaller model, still used that lumbar pillow system. None of the chairs have lumbar pillows, but they do have head pillows. In the 2020 model, the head pillow was made out of memory foam, and it was way too stiff to be comfortable. I had to push my head against it with some force only for it to push my head back into place as it went back to its starting shape. Most of the time, I just don't use it. The new pillow, however, is improved with memory foam that isn't so aggressive. It's a different shape, and when I tested it, it felt more comfortable in the nook of my neck and head. That's all nice and good, but the biggest thing that I was curious about, and probably most people have questions about, are the magnets. This pillow attaches to the chair with magnets? What? That's so weird and it's unique, and it was definitely something that I wanted to check out. The magnets feel strong and it does still allow for some adjustment of the positioning, but not as much as if it were just on a strap. So far I've only accidentally knocked it off like 2 or 3 times, and I'm pleasantly surprised with how well it stays on the chair. It's not easy to knock off with just normal use, and it does look really nice without the strap. Someone at SecretLab must really like magnets, because that's not the only place that you're gonna find magnets on this chair. The armrests on the new 2022 model now feature magnetic interchangeable tops. I believe that they plan to come out with different tops in the future, and this is gonna allow you to quickly change them. I didn't notice any excess play in them despite the magnetic fit, and while they feel to be about the same thickness, the material does feel softer to the touch than the previous model. All the same adjustments are going to be here, but I will say that the position that the armrests come in is wider than the previous model. I found this to be too wide for my liking, and I do plan to adjust them on the bottom of the chair to bring them closer in. There's just some bolts that you would undo and push them in and then tighten them back up. The last big change to the chair is going to be the actual seat itself. SecretLab has introduced their new proprietary Pebble seat base, which seems to be reshaped into a slightly curved shape. The difference is subtle, and I personally didn't feel like it made a huge difference. I'm not usually a fan of aggressive wings on the side of chairs, but this is not that by any means. The curve is not stiff or restrictive, and when I sat in the chair, I didn't notice a difference regardless of how I was sitting. The previous 2020 Titan had a pretty flat seat base as well, but bringing up the Omega again, that chair had really aggressive wings in the base. It's the main thing that I disliked about it. Well, this new 2022 series uses the same shape for the seat base across all the models. So if you get the EVO S, the smaller chair, you're not going to have to deal with that anymore. That's a huge improvement to comfort, in my opinion. Speaking of comfort, you can't talk about SecretLab chairs and comfort without mentioning how stiff they are. They're known to be stiff, and this new model is no different. And this is going to be subjective to your preferences, but I don't think that they're too stiff. I have seen people, though, complain that it's like sitting on concrete. Now, that is an exaggeration. Are they stiff? Yes. Would I be surprised if someone said that they were too stiff? No, I wouldn't. Do I and many others find them to be very comfortable but still stiff? Yes. Do I think they break in over time and become more comfortable? Also yes. I would rather my chair to be a little firm if that means that in 2 years it's not going to be flattened and useless, which I did a review on SecretLab chairs after 2 years, and it was still holding up. It was still comfortable. You cannot say that about all gaming chairs. A lot of times cheaper chairs have very cushiony chairs when you buy them, but in 2 years it's like you're sitting on nothing, and you can feel the frame underneath the chair. The rest of the chair is very similar to the older model, with the same seat adjustments and the same amount of tilt and the same materials for the hardware of the chair. The new model does also come with a really neat anti-counterfeit NFC tag that you can scan. The unboxing experience is the same as before, and if you followed me on Twitch, then you would have seen me put this chair together and given my first impressions of the chair, which is something that I've done a bunch of times with other chairs that have been sent to me. If this does sound interesting, then you should stop by the stream. There's a link in the description below. I'll see you there. While I was streaming this process, someone brought up something kind of interesting. They asked me if my chair's armrests were slightly different. He mentioned that one of his was higher than the others, and it actually affected his ability to slide under the desk. When I sat in the chair before that, it wasn't something that I had noticed, but I wanted to get to the bottom of this, so I grabbed a tape measure, and this is what I found. I don't know. I guess. Wait a second. This is not going to be the most scientific method. Okay. Bom, bom, bom. You probably can't see this. This one is lower. This is like a quarter of an inch lower. Here, I'll like mark it with my finger. You see the yellow above my thumb? That's about the difference that I just got when I measured those two. So on feel, no, I don't think that it's that noticeable, but now that someone has said something and now that I've measured it, I feel like, yes, it is noticeable. It can also be annoying if someone that likes to have an armrest even with your desk height. Well, let's see, because I do like to have an armrest even with my desk height. I can take this, I mean, this is not scientific by any means, but I can take this and slide it from desk to armrest on this one, Doesn't happen, doesn't work. And they are currently both at their max height. So it is a slight difference, but it has the potential to really kind of like cause problems. The fact that someone else had this issue and others mentioned the same thing, and I discovered it on mine as well, makes me feel like this is not a one-off situation. Obviously, I haven't checked every single chair, so I'm not gonna say that it's a defect across the entire line, but there's definitely a manufacturing or quality control issue here, and I'd have to assume that SecretLab is aware of it. I hope it's something that gets resolved, and I'd also like to believe that if your chair has this issue and they eventually fix it in the new model, or maybe it's already fixed, then you could contact their customer service and have your armrest replaced under warranty, which, by the way, is 5 years. Another issue that I've heard is that the lumbar support is making a loud noise when being adjusted or pushing against it with your back. Now, that issue is something that I could not reproduce with my chair as hard as I tried. It doesn't mean that it doesn't happen, but I can't confirm it, but you should be aware. I really respect SecretLab as a company, and I think that their products are high quality and durable. But I'm not a fanboy and I'm not a paid shill, so if there's issues being reported, then I'm gonna point them out in my review. I hope that these issues are minor hiccups limited to the initial production of this new product, and I'd like to give them the benefit of the doubt that they're gonna fix the issues in future models and replace whatever they need to for chairs already sold. If you have experienced any of these problems, then let me know in the comments, and be sure to let me know if it got resolved by customer service. I'd love to know, and I'm sure other viewers would find that info pretty helpful. Despite these issues, I did not feel like they ruined the experience of the chair for me, and they aren't severe enough for me to not recommend the chair. My verdict is that the chair is an awesome improvement over the previous model, and the issues that I had with that previous model have all been addressed in this new one. The things that I liked about the 2020 model were made even better in this 2022 model. But if you do have that 2020 Titan and it's still in good condition, I don't think that the changes are significant enough to justify ordering the new one, unless you've got the cash to burn or you just like having the latest and greatest. If you are sitting in a cheaper, less comfortable chair, or maybe an even older SecretLab that's seen better days, then I do think that it's a fantastic option with a ton of features and adjustability that's well worth that premium price tag. If you do decide to buy one and this video helped you, well then I would appreciate if you use the link below to help support the channel. I'm gonna reserve my opinion until I try the new EVO S and compare it to the Omega, but based on what I know right now, it seems like that model got the most significant upgrades. Once I get my hands on it, then you can expect a video much like this one, and the best way to make sure you don't miss it or anything else, subscribe. Yeah, the answer was subscribe. Peace! Oh, here we go, here we go.
He's coming.
Here we go, here we go, here we go. Hey, where are you going, man? Come back here. He's coming!
Ah! Ow!
Smudge! I rebuke thee! I rebuke thee!